Hello everyone, this is part 18 of What If Naruto Was Iron Man, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
When Naruto awoke, he looked around the room and noticed that he had a lot of gift cards, flowers, and other assorted items wishing him a quick recovery, and he blinked and asked, "Did the delivery guy get the wrong room?" A snicker was heard and Naruto looked over and saw Riku sitting on a chair, and she said, "No, I just broadcast everything that happened at the Valley of the End, and so now all the people here know the truth." Naruto frowned and sat up wincing, and Riku said, "Easy, you got a few broke ribs," as she helped him set up. Once he was comfortable, he glared at Riku and said, "Exactly why the hell was Madara fucking Uchiha here to capture me? I know that originally didn't happen." Riku smiled and said, "You know, it's amazing what you find when you search bodies. Find all kinds of little secrets." Naruto narrowed his eyes and Riku said, "After your death and Akatsuki was destroyed with me killing Madara personally, I found a seal he had on the bottom of his foot. Don't ask me why the hell the bastard kept it there, but I found a journal he kept. I learned about his real plans and how all the pain and suffering he caused was just a way to pass the boredom that came with living as long as he did. He hated still being young because he couldn't find anyone to challenge him anymore, so he tried to create challenges by making people want to get stronger and fight him, and thought, of course, his foot was all that was left of his body also." Naruto said, "Yeah, I got that from talking to the bastard." Riku said, "Well, if anything, the bastard kept very detailed reports of his activities, and so after I took care of Gato, I made a little trip to the northern fire country to an ancient city the Uchiha once had that Madara lived at, and I changed myself to look like someone else, and I stroked his ego into giving you motivation into getting stronger. Since he knew who you were and your family history as well as Temari, I told him that odds are you would be the only one to get strong enough to ever give him a challenge, but you wouldn't get motivated until something pushed you to, and you might just give up being a ninja and go live with your uncle. Madara extremely didn't like that idea, and so I gave him the idea to motivate you by showing how weak you were compared to him, and told him that imagine if you knew the entire truth about his family, about how much he manipulated him to anger you to get stronger. The senile old fool tried to kill me, but I was only using an illusion at the time, and I quickly left. I knew Madara had Danzo keeping watch on you, so I made it where when we were in the Hokage Tower to mention publicly that your uncle was coming to get you, and gave you the hint about leaving to live with him, that Danzo would report that to Madara, who would come running." Naruto said, "So you set me up to die?" Riku said, "No, Madara wouldn't kill you since all his hopes of a challenge are resting on you, and in fact I honestly did not expect you to fight him since I warned you about him, but you surprised me and everyone by killing him. All I was truly hoping to do was reveal to you that you still had other family, and to reveal it to Konoha how truly big a mistake they have been making. I'll give you the video recording of the cat fight that started after your fight was over. The younger generation gave the older ones a 1,000 years of death with exploding kunais in the argument that came." Naruto looked at her and after several moments of silence as he gathered his thoughts asked, "What is it that you are really after, Riku? Something's not adding up." Riku looked out the window and said, "Introduce yourself to me. You know, likes, dislikes, dreams for the future." Naruto blinked and asked, "Why?" Riku said, "Humor me and I'll give you the answer to the question you ask." Naruto shrugged and said, "My name is Naruto," as his face went blank. Riku said, "Forget your name a moment, tell me your likes." Naruto said with a confused look on his face, "My likes are," as he began to think. Riku said, "What about dislikes?" Naruto said, "The way people treat me as the Kyuubi," instantly answering. Riku motioned her arms toward all the gifts and cards and said, "People have changed. They see you as a hero now. They see the person you always were. By revealing the truth to people, you have changed them, and now they ask for a chance to prove to you they have changed. Not everyone has, but most of the village do now. Just like after you defeated Gaara that time. You earned their respect." Naruto looked at the cards again and he asked, "But how do I know they're not doing it out of guilt, or pity, or because they know I'm related to who I am related to?" Riku said, "Some are and some not. Unless you get to know the people, you won't know which is which." Naruto frowned and Riku asked, "What's your dreams for the future?" Naruto opened his mouth and stopped again and said, I don't know. I used to want to be Hokage to gain the respect of everyone, but now I have the respect, but then I wanted to be Hokage to protect my precious people, but Riku said, "But now that you've seen what the Hokage has to do, you're doubting if you still want to be Hokage." Naruto said, "Yeah. As he looked lost. Riku said, "Before you can have a dream, you must first know who you are. Once you know yourself, then you will know what you like and dislike, and you will gain a dream. It may be simple like your friend Shikamaru. His dream is to marry an average woman and have 2 kids, a son and a daughter, and once his daughter marries off, he wants to retire. Then you have someone like Lee who dreams to show that he can be a great ninja even though he can't use chakra." Naruto frowned and said, "You set me up to face Madara because you wanted me to find myself because I've been lost in the wind going where the wind was blowing me at that moment," as he started to understand. Riku said, "When you saw Tenten die, you threw everything away to avenge her. The you that came from the future Tenten and I came from became someone and something you never were. You became powerful, but you also became cold. Someone threatened to hurt one of your precious people and you didn't go to defend them. You became ruthless and destroyed the person. You were becoming a monster because the power you had obtained was corrupting you. It took a no-win situation for you to return to the person you truly were at the end of your life. I don't want to see you follow that path again. You don't have to carry the burden of the world on your shoulders. Sometimes you have to have faith and let others do it while you step back and watch. That is what a Hokage does. He has faith in those around him and he lets them handle the problems. Your grandfather made decisions he didn't like. I am sure there is not a day goes by that he doesn't regret having his entire family together, but he was faced with a choice. In order to protect his family, he had to let them go because if he would have done what was necessary to have his family, then Danzo most likely would have become Hokage. And where do you think Konoha would be? Where do you think your family would be?" Naruto frowned as he went over Riku's words and Riku said, "I know you're confused. I'm going to let you have some privacy and you can figure it out," as she walked toward the door but stopped as she opened the door and said, "But sometimes it helps to have a second opinion," as she left. Naruto laid in his bed for an hour thinking over what Riku had said and he heard Eva say, "So have you figured anything out?" Naruto was about to say something when the door to his room opened and the Sandaime walked in with another man with red hair, and Naruto looked at both and the Sandaime said, "Hello Naruto, how are you feeling?" Naruto rubbed his ribs and said, "Like I jumped off the Hokage monument." The Sandaime nods and looked at the man beside him and the man said, "You look like your father." Naruto looked at the man and asked, "Who are you and why are you looking at me like that?" The man looked confused and asked, "Like what?" Naruto said, "Like you're trying to find the treasure in a cereal box and I'm the box." The man chuckled and said, "Sorry about that Naruto. I was just looking to see what characteristics you got from your father and from my sister. I am Ichigo Uzumaki, your uncle." Naruto looked at the Sandaime who nods and Naruto said, "I see. I'm sorry I'm not more excited, but with what's happened I've got a lot on my mind. Can you give us a little time to talk Hokage-sama?" The Sandaime winced and looks down before leaving, and after he was gone Naruto looked at Ichigo and said, "So?" Ichigo said, "I understand you know of me some." Naruto said, "Yeah. Riku told me a lot about you." Ichigo said, "Well, why don't you tell me what you know first and then I can tell you more and then I can tell you what I know about you and you can tell me more about you." Naruto thought a moment and looked up at the ceiling and said, "Your name is Ichigo Uzumaki, older brother to my mother Kushina Uzumaki, though that is not actually your real last name. Uzumaki is the name everyone took who were ninja of the Whirlpool village, and Uzumaki was considered a main branch name while the village was divided up into the Kase, Mizu, and Kori branches, which tells which bloodline you had, which is Kori. You came to Konoha with my mother and another woman, and on a mission the other woman disappeared when you were attacked and you went looking for her and discovered the wife of the feudal lord or lightning being attacked and you saved her. Her husband died and you fell in love with her and married her, becoming the feudal lord of lightning. Your brother-in-law is the current Raikage. You were told by the elders Koharu and Homaru that I died in the Kyuubi attack along with my mother. Your wife died." Ichigo eyes widen and he said, "Yeah, that's right. You said this Riku person told you all this." Naruto said, "Yeah. Like you, she thought I had died also until a few months back, and once she found out I was alive, she used her wealth to find out information about the rest of my family she knew about, namely you and my half-sister. Ichigo said, I see. Well, I'm surprised you knew so much about me and you were able to summarize my entire life in a paragraph. Anyways, I guess it's my turn. You're Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto said, don't worry about my last name at the moment. That's something I'm still trying to figure out. Ichigo said, so you're giving up the Uzumaki name? Naruto said, I don't know. A few months ago I was just an orphan hated by most who did not know his parents or anything about his family. Now I find out I got an aunt, 2 uncles, a half-sister, 2 stepbrothers, a grandfather, a cousin, and that's just the ones who are alive. I find out I am a Senju, a Sarutobi, a Namikaze, and an Uzumaki Kori. It's just a lot to take in all at once, and I need time to figure out who I am, which is why I said don't worry about the name. Ichigo frowns and said, I understand. Anyways, you're 15 and your birthday is October 10th. You're the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and love ramen. Besides that, everything you said about yourself is all I know. Naruto sighed and said, life is so confusing. Ichigo smiled and said, sometimes that is what makes it worth living. It can be a blessing and a curse, and sometimes you just have to accept that there is nothing you can do and go with it. Naruto bit his lip and said, you want me to come back to Lightning Country with you, don't you? Ichigo said, I would like for you to. I could give you everything you would ever want and you wouldn't need for anything. Naruto said, but didn't you just say sometimes that's what makes it worth living? Ichigo said, you may have your father's looks, but your personality is all your mother's. I won't force you to come with me and I will support whatever decision you make, Naruto, and I want you to know that I love you and I am here for you. Naruto asked, if I give up the Uzumaki name, will you still feel that way? Ichigo looked out the window and said, names are things other people give you. As long as you know who you are and who your friends and family are, as well as where you come from, then you can't go wrong. Naruto looked down and said, when I found out about you, I was so excited to meet you and I dreamed of what you would look like and listen to you tell me stories about you and my mother, but I don't know what to think anymore. All the lies I've been told make me doubt everything. I can't even be happy about meeting my long-lost uncle because of the doubt. Ichigo moved over and pulled Naruto into a hug and said, shush. It's alright, Naruto. I'm here for you until the day I die. You're all the family I have left and the last link to my sister I have. As long as you can accept that I am your uncle and I am here for you and love you, that is more than I could dream of. For years I thought about you and what you would look like, and I have to say that none of my fantasy came even close to how great of a person I see before me. Just take all the time you need to figure this out. I'm not going anywhere until you do. The Hokage has given me a small house along with my guards to stay in until I have to leave to return to Lightning Country, but even then I will return as quickly as I can. Naruto let a tear fall and said, thank you, uncle. Ichigo smiled and pulled back and said, get some rest. I'll come see you tomorrow and bring you some ramen. Naruto nods and Ichigo quickly left. After he was gone, the Sandaime walked in and Naruto looked at him and asked, is it true? The Sandaime sighed and said, yes. I am your grandfather. Naruto asked, who? Who all knew. The Sandaime sat down and said, Danzo, Koharu, and Homaru. Koharu and Homaru were there when Danzo confronted me about being the father to Tsunade and Nawaki, and they were the ones who stopped me from killing him that day. Naruto said, so Tsunade doesn't know you're her father? The Sandaime shook his head and said, no. She believed her father died when she was a baby because things were different back then. Your grandmother was just 14 when she had Tsunade and I was 16. We knew each other from the time she was 4 and I was 6. Both of us were the heirs to our clans, and she was originally supposed to be married to Madara's son when she turned 14 to solidify the peace between both clans, but when she turned out to be pregnant, Madara's son attacked her and I killed him. It was my first kill. Naruto frowned and said, why didn't you say it was your child? Sarutobi said, I couldn't. If I would have came out at the time and claimed the child, I would have been put to death. To protect me, Hashirama-sensei said that the father of the baby was a rogue ninja who attacked her, and he assigned me as her personal guard for protection after that. As her guard we were able to be together for a time and soon she became pregnant with Nawaki and I wanted to marry her but by that time Madara had left the village and Hashirama died with everyone believing Madara had died as well. Tobirama sensei who knew the truth refused to let me marry his niece because he didn't want his family name to die out and as heir I couldn't give up my name so he talked to my parents and to get the Morino clan to join Konoha I was arranged to marry Ibiki Aunt Isis. During that time I became a member of a three-man team under Tobirama sensei with Koharu and Homaru as my teammates. I don't know where they went but for the next 8 years Tsunade, Nawaki and Tsunami disappeared. Tobirama sensei sent them somewhere and when they came back Tsunami told me that Tsunade and Nawaki both had been told their father had died when they were babies. By that time my wife was pregnant with Asuma. When my wife died and after giving birth to our second son I wanted to unite our family as a whole but we were at war. The best I could do was become the sensei of Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru. Naruto said, I see, so how did dad come about? Sarutobi said, Tsunami. She came to me after her uncle died and we had a plan to unite our family once and for all by uniting the Senju and the Sarutobi clan together. Your father was supposed to be the bond that united our family. I had just became Hokage and Danzo tried to force me to step down by threatening to reveal the truth about my connection to the Senju clan and tell the Uchiha clan that I was the father of Tsunade and remind him of the deal they had made and he was insulting Tsunami and I snapped. I attacked him and Koharu and Homaru stopped me from killing him and Homaru told Danzo if he ever spoke about what he learned they wouldn't hold me back next time. His life for his silence. Winter came early that year and Tsunami caught the flu and was weak from the flu when she went into labor. When she died I was afraid that with Nawaki dying just months earlier that your father would be next so I had no choice. I made the toughest decision of my life. Tsunade was already a chunin and well on her way to being a great medic and Asuma and Shimba had been moved to the Morino family home near the capital of Fire Country since we were at war and they could protect them better. I couldn't ask them to watch your father also and I couldn't tell Tsunade the truth because she was needed to save our village and I had to place him where I could watch him while protecting him. Naruto looked down and said, the one thing I don't understand, if Danzo was so much of a threat, why didn't you just kill him? The Sandaime looked out the window sadly and said, because I gave my word that day Homaru and Koharu pulled me off him that I would not kill him as long as he remained silent about my family and I keep my word. Even if it pains me too, just like you. Naruto looked down and after a few moments said, Ichigo has asked me to come with him to Lightning Country. The Sandaime said, I know, sadly. Naruto frowned and asked, what is my name? I mean am I an Uzumaki, a Senju, a Sarutobi, a Namikaze? Who am I? Sarutobi said, I never married your grandmother so even though I would love you to have my clan name it's not allowed. Naruto said, but aren't you clan head? Sarutobi said, yes but I have to follow the law as Hokage, and I gave up my rights to your father when I put him up for adoption. Naruto said, but that still leaves me with the other three names. Sarutobi said, not really. As Ichigo-sama has told me Uzumaki is not really your family name. You. Naruto said, I'm well aware of what you're going to say but I feel that I am denying my mother by giving up that name. Sarutobi sighed and said, but your mother gave up that name when she married your father. Naruto looked down and said, I guess I didn't think of that. But that leaves me with the Namikaze name and the Senju name. Sarutobi said, you're a Senju. I gave up my rights by law when I put your father up for adoption but Tsunade as the only living relative at that time did not give up her rights to your father. The orphanage gave him the name Namikaze because it was the name I suggested to them but it was a link to his mother. Naruto said, it doesn't feel right for me to take that name without having Tsunade permission or my sisters. Sarutobi frowned and said, but it is your name. Naruto closed his eyes and remembered Ichigo's words and said, you're right I guess, names are what other people give you anyways. Sarutobi smiled weakly and said, so, what do you plan to do? Naruto said, I don't know yet, I need time to think. Sarutobi said, I understand. The doctors think you should be able to recover enough to leave by tomorrow. Naruto asked, how long was I out and what about the teams? Sarutobi said, you were out a week. Teams have already been formed but because of what happened and what you were going to decide I didn't give you a team. Several people have asked to take you as an apprentice, including myself. Naruto bit his lip and said, let me think about it. Sarutobi nods and starts to leave and Naruto said, Gigi, stopping Sarutobi. Sarutobi said, yes. Naruto asked, is Tenten team still in the village? Sarutobi said, yes. I cancelled all out of village genin missions for the next 3 weeks while we work on improving village security after what happened. Why? Naruto said, no reason, just wondering. Sarutobi nods and said, get some rest, as he leaves. Once he was gone, Naruto looked around the room at the gifts and read the cards and saw the one from Tenten and he smiled as he read it. I am going to kick your ass for pulling that stunt, idiot. But at least you're alive for me to get my revenge for worrying me. Get well soon. Tenten. Naruto sighed and thought, Eva. Eva said, yes. Naruto thought, can you tell me where Tenten is right now? Eva said, she's at her team's training ground. Naruto nods and thought, you haven't let any QB chakra into my system, have you? That's why I am still so hurt, right? Eva said, right, I was afraid to because you damaged the power core. Riku and Dustin were able to make a patch for it until I was able to repair it. In fact, that was what she was doing when she was here, was removing the patch. Naruto nods and thought, give me some of QB chakra to heal me faster. I hate hospitals. Naruto felt the rush of QB chakra into his system and winces a little, and after about 10 minutes he gets up and makes his way to the closet and found his cloths and smiled as he saw a chibi-looking panda drawn on it with its tongue sticking out. After getting dressed he went to the window and slipped out before he climbed up the side of the building with chakra and he took to the sky and flew into the air. 5 minutes later, after landing near training ground 16, Naruto was about to walk out onto the training ground when he saw Lee kicking a log while Neji was meditating, and he looked around and saw as Tenten jumped out of a tree and in mid-air began to spin, throwing her weapons at a target above Neji's head. A voice said, impressive accuracy, don't you agree, Naruto-kun? Naruto looked back and found Guy behind him and said, yes, she does. You were my mom's student, right? Guy said, indeed I was, though I have to ask, how did you know that and why are you here? Naruto said, my godmother Riku told me it when she told me a little about my mom. That's how I know about you. But the reason I came here was to see if I could talk with one of your students. It's personal. Guy looked at Naruto and said, why are you out of the hospital? You are still injured. Naruto's eyes got wide and asked, how? Guy lightly tapped Naruto's ribs and said, you're guarding your ribs unconsciously. Now why are you out of the hospital? Naruto said, because I need to talk to someone who won't blow smoke up my ass because of the QB or my family or anything else. Only person I know that fills that role that I can trust not to talk about what I need to talk about is Tenten, which is why I came here. My flames of youth are diminishing, as he rubbed his head. Guy smiled and said, wait right here, and he walked out onto the field and said in a raised, training is over for today. Tenten, please remain for a few moments. Lee, begin your laps around Konoha and I shall join you shortly. Good luck, Neji, and if you ever want more training let me know, as he watched all his students leave but Tenten, who was gathering her weapons, and he said in a lowered voice, you have a visitor, Tenten. Do not train Naruto-kun with your ribs still injured, and I won't tell anyone I saw you. Goodbye, as he jumped away to catch Lee. Naruto walked out from behind the tree he was on and Tenten said, hi, what are you doing here? Naruto said, I need advice and you're the only one who I know won't blow smoke up my ass. Do you need to work at your shop today? Tenten said, no, I spent the last couple of days trying to stay busy and Dad told me to take today off, so what you want to talk about and why are you not in the hospital? The doctors said you would be another 2 or 3 days. Naruto said, I hate hospitals, so I snuck out after talking with my uncle and grandfather. Tenten frowns and Naruto asked, have you learned to fly yet? Tenten said, no, not yet. Riku and Mom said to wait for you to heal before trying it in case something goes wrong. Why? Naruto said, because I want to go somewhere I know nobody from Konoha can spy on us. Feel like a little trip. Tenten said, I guess, but what about your injuries and how are we going to get where you want to with your ribs hurt? Naruto said, well, you will have to trust me a little. Do you trust me? Tenten glared at him and he said, alright, I need you to put your arms over me like a hug while putting your feet on mine. I will fly us there slowly and it should only take about 10 minutes to get there. Tenten asked, where? Naruto said, a little town west of here. I thought we could eat while we talk, with a small smile. Tenten blushed and said, are you asking me on a date? Naruto said, no, I'm just asking to take you to lunch. If I was asking you on a date, I would take you somewhere that I knew you would enjoy yourself and treat you like a lovely lady instead of a friend I need advice from. Tenten blushed again and said, I see, as she grabbed her things and put her arms around Naruto and stood on his feet. A few seconds later they were flying slightly through the air while Naruto turned them where his back was to the ground below and Tenten was on top as they flew. As they landed, Tenten moved some hair out of her eyes and said, that was different. Naruto smiled and led them toward a small bar and grill and Tenten asked, how do you know this place? Naruto said, Itachi and Kisame almost captured me in this village when the pervert told me to stay in a hotel room while he tried to get laid. Tenten frowned and followed Naruto in and they sat at one of the back stalls with Naruto having his back to the door. The stalls had a divider wall between each to provide privacy. Tenten sat across from him and noticed that Naruto put his feet on the booth seat she was on and she put hers as well on Naruto booth seat. A waitress walked over and saw Tenten and Naruto hi-ate and said, what can I do for you ninja-sons? As she handed him a menu each. Naruto looked at the menu and said, get whatever you want Tenten. This one's on me. Tenten said, you sure this isn't a date? Naruto remained silent and Tenten said, I'll have the number 7 special. The waitress nods and asked, what would you like to drink? Tenten said, water. Naruto said, I'll take the same but can I have some chilled sake? Tenten looked shocked at Naruto and the waitress said, aren't you a little young for sake? Naruto said, old enough to kill, old enough to fuck, old enough to get drunk, as he shrugged his shoulders. The waitress said, all right, it will be a few minutes, as she left. Tenten said, have you ever actually drank sake before? Naruto chuckled and said, yeah, shortly after I made chunin. Tenten blinked and said, you made chunin? I didn't know that. Naruto said, yeah, stopping a sand demon single-handedly as well as luring it away from innocent people gives a pretty good resume for chunin. Tenten said, and here I thought I knew everything about you. But now that I think about it I was only showed your time with me. Naruto blushed and Tenten asked, what? Naruto said, just a memory, nothing. Tenten glared at him and said, nope, talk. Naruto sighed and said, just remembered what happened between me and the other you in Suna. Tenten thought a moment and said, what was that? Naruto said, in Suna water is hard to come by so the showers won't work unless there are 2 people in them and Tenten eyes got wide and said, so, you and me. Naruto said, relax, I was a gentleman and didn't look except when I had to wash your back. Tenten blush went away and said, I see. Naruto sighed as the waitress returned with the sake and water and he poured him a shot of sake and drank it before taking 3 more quickly. Tenten said, slow down, you're going to get drunk. Naruto said, that's the idea, in a quiet voice. Tenten pulled the bottle away when Naruto started to reach for it to pour some more and said, that's enough, you asked me to come talk to you, not watch you drink yourself to death. Naruto sighed and looked at her and said, I'm tired Tenten, as his eyes looked glossed over. Tenten reached across and grabbed his hand and said, why don't you tell me what's wrong Naruto? Naruto looked at her and said, I don't know who I can trust anymore. I've been lied to my entire life. I find out I have a demon in my stomach. I grew up being told that I'm a bastard child whose parents killed themselves because they didn't want me, that I was a failure who should just kill myself because nobody wants me and that I'm nothing but a monster who nobody will ever love. Then I only find out about the demon from a traitor who tried to kill me. I learned about my parents from a man who I only met once before when I was a child. I find out my godfather is nothing but a pervert who had time to sleep with prostitutes while I was digging through the trash for food. Once I finally start earning the respect of people, I learn people want to kill me and extract the demon my own father stuck in me. Then the secret that was so big about my parents that nobody was supposed to talk about, a man I thought of as a grandfather announces it to an entire village we didn't even live in just so he could order me to kill someone, trapping 2 people I care about in a situation they shouldn't have been forced into. Then after all that mess was taken care of I nearly die because of a stupid spice, and the man I thought of as a grandfather starts manipulating those close to me to gain some control over me, trapping a third precious person in the mess. Then I watch helpless as I see someone I care for die, as tears fall down his face. Tenten smiled sadly and squeezed his hand, and Naruto wiped away the tears that had begun to fall, and Tenten said, "I'm not dead though." Naruto said, "But you're not the same Tenten. You're not the one who I let inside, who I told my deepest, darkest secrets to, that I let through all my emotional defenses. I know things about you that you most likely haven't told anyone, and I bet you probably know things about myself I don't even know." Tenten said, "You're probably right. But that doesn't mean that I can't become someone you can tell your secrets to, and that doesn't mean I can't help you find out things about you that you don't know." Naruto put both his hands to his forehead and said, "You know you were tricked into coming back, right? I mean, Riku could have come back without you. Did you know that she was behind Madara attack on me?" Tenten eyes widened and Naruto looked up and said, "Surprise. She told me earlier today that after she went to Wave Country she made a trip to Madara hideout and stroked his ego to come challenge me." Tenten sat the sake bottle down on the table and Naruto grabbed it and poured him another shot, and grabbed the small saucer that came with the sake and poured Tenten some and set it in front of her before downing his shot. Tenten finally got over her shock and asked, "Why?" Naruto motioned with his glass as he cleared his throat and said loudly, "Since the sake burned his throat, because she had found out about my parentage and thought it best to have Madara Uchiha himself tell the world that he was responsible for the Kyuubi attack and that Danzo was responsible for my uncle Nawaki Senju death. Also the fact that Sandaime Hokage was the mysterious father of all three Senju children, including my father who was born at the cost of his mother, Tsunami Senju life," as he slammed the sake glass on the table. A glass breaking somewhere in the restaurant was heard and both Naruto and Tenten looked around. They heard the waitress from earlier said, "Just give me a moment, miss, and I will get that cleaned up for you," as she took the plates she was carrying back to where Naruto and Tenten were sitting. Tenten sat there stunned and Naruto said quieter, "Like I said, I don't know who I can trust anymore. Hell, I don't even know who I am anymore. Gigi says that I can't be a Sarutobi because he gave up all his rights when he put my father up for adoption, and the name Namikaze was a reference to my grandmother Tsunami because when people think about a tsunami they think about strong winds and waves. My uncle Ichigo wants me to come to Lightning Country and wants me to keep the Uzumaki name, but I'm sure Mom already told you about the history of Whirlpool, right?" Tenten's face went blank and a few moments later Tenten sighed after getting the answer from Mom and said, "I see, that sucks." Naruto, who had poured another shot, said, "Cheers," as he motioned with his glass. Tenten frowned and took the saucer and slowly took a sip, and after giving a light cough and rubbing her throat said, "Not bad but a little bitter." Naruto said, "Yeah, and the hangover's killer. You're the only one I can trust, Tenten." Tenten said, "Well, I'm glad you hold me in such regards," as she began to eat. Naruto took a bite and said, "The funny thing is Gigi basically told me that I have to take the Senju name, but what should I do? I mean, what about my sister and Tsunade? I can't just take the name without talking to them. Maybe that's what I should do, just give up on everything like Tsunade. My life's been hell and I've lost people close to me. Maybe I can spend the rest of my life drinking and gambling," as he reached for the bottle of sake only to be slapped across the face. Naruto looked shocked and looked at Tenten, who was glaring at him, and she said, "Don't you dare think about it, Naruto, or I will shove a kunai up your ass." Naruto blinked before chuckling and said, "That's why I love you, Ten-chan. I know you won't take no shit from me. I think I'm starting to turn into an emo Uchiha." Tenten, who was blushing, said, "So, what are you going to do?" Naruto sighed and said, "I don't know. Not that I know who my family is and where I come from. I don't want to disrespect it. I want to honor all of my family, but what can I do, and what effect will my decisions have on Tsunade and Temari?" Tenten sat there and Naruto, who saw Tenten moving her feet, reached over and took off one of her sandals, and Tenten said, "Hey, stop that," as Naruto began to rub her foot and she squeaked and said, "Stop, they're ticklish." Naruto said, "So," as he continued to rub one of her feet while he used his other hand to eat. Tenten closed her eyes and began to relax, and she enjoyed the foot rub and said, "Well, think about your family history." Naruto shot her a deadpan look and said, "That's what got me drinking." Tenten shook her head and said, "No, I mean the Shodaime and the Nadaime." Both were Senju but both were different. What if you formed a new branch of the Senju clan specifically for you? I mean the Shodaime could use wood, the Nadaime water, Temari is wind and your ice. Why can't you just make a branch specifically for your element and you follow your own rules and soon it can follow the rules she's lived by all these years and when Temari finds out she can make her own rules until she get married and takes her husband's name. You're the only one who will be able to pass on the name so why not make the Senju clan the way you want it, or at least your branch. Naruto sighed and said, but I will still have responsibilities. I'll probably be required to have several wives or some bullshit like that to make everything legal. Tenten sighed and said, I don't know what to tell you about that. I think you could love multiple women but I don't know how you would be able to handle them. Naruto said, plus the fact my feeling for you and, as he waved his hand motioning. Tenten realizing what he meant said, yeah, you love me but the other me. Tell you what, how about we do something constructive to solve this problem? We're both great and coming up with things on the fly. How about we work on figuring out a way to show your respect to all your family to show where you truly came from? Naruto, who had finished his last bite, said, what do you suggest then? Tenten said, well, if you're going to make your own branch of the Senju clan we should make a clan seal to show that your branch is different from the others. You know how the Uchiha have that fan, the Senju have the tree, the Uzumaki have the spiral. Naruto thought a moment and looked up and thought, Eva, can you make a small hologram in front of Tenten and me so that we can work on this idea? Eva said, I believe so, just tell me what you want and I will try to add it. Naruto nods and said, okay, Eva said she would display our ideas so what do you think we should have in it? Tenten thought a moment and said, well, when people think about you they're going to think about Kyuubi, that's a given I guess right? Naruto said, yeah, I've come to terms with that. Tenten said, alright, then let's start off with a small picture of a Kyuubi, not attacking but something majestic, noble. As a picture of Kyuubi appeared in the middle of them circling slowly and Naruto said, change the color, make it bluish-white like ice. As the color changed Tenten said, how about adding in a pair of trees on each side with it looking like the trees are swaying in the wind? As the image changed to show two trees blowing slightly with Kyuubi in the middle Naruto said, well the trees will show the normal Senju clan symbol but we need to add in a beach snowbank with waves crashing into it. Tenten said, put a monkey jumping above the Kyuubi from tree to tree. Naruto smiled as he looked at the image and said, but how do we? I got it, change the Kyuubi eyes from red to blue with the Uzumaki spiral and have the monkey wearing armor on his chest with a Rasengan where the power core is. The final image came into view with two oak trees swaying in the wind with an armor monkey with a Rasengan in the chest plate jumping between the trees over a ice color Kyuubi who had a spiraling swirls of blue in his eyes who was sitting on a snowbank with waves crashing into the snowbank. Naruto smiled and Tenten said, so, what do you think? A fitting display for the future Senju clan symbol. Naruto said, yeah, I like it. Tenten said, good, I'll have mom record it and make sure when we get you some new cloths that it is added to all your cloths. Naruto asked, what do I need new cloths for? Tenten said, well, your current ones are a little ragged. Naruto looked at them and sighed and Tenten said, now that we got that taken care of how about you and I have a little Q&A. I ask a question you answer, then you ask a question and I answer. Naruto thought a moment and said, sure, you go first. Tenten said, favorite color. Naruto said, orange. You. Tenten said, silver. Why orange? Naruto said, reminds me of sunsets and sunrises, new beginnings and endings. Hobbies. Tenten blushed and said, training and singing. You. Naruto said, really? I did not know that. I'll have to hear you sing. Watching sunrises and sunsets, training, fishing with a fishing pole, reading. Now it was Tenten's turn to be surprised and said, for someone so energetic I was sure all your hobbies would have been hyper. First kiss. Naruto said, in what way? Tenten asked, what do you mean what way? Naruto said, romantic, friendship, accident, what? Tenten said, more than a friendship kiss. Naruto thought a moment and said, tsunami, you. Tenten looked down and said, no one. Naruto said, hey, don't be embarrassed. It's nothing to feel sorry about. Tenten smiled and said, how many women have you kissed as more than friends? Naruto said, 4 but I won't give you any more names than the one mentioned as my first kiss. Tenten nods and said, your turn. Naruto said, As over the next 2 hours of having some desert and talking they learned about each other while Eva gave Naruto some more of Kyuubi chakra to make him sober enough to fly them back to Konoha after paying and leaving a $100 tip for all the time they were there. Once they got back Naruto said, I had fun Tenten and I hope we can do it again sometimes. Tenten said, me too but next time it will have to be a date. Naruto said, a date it is then. Say Friday. Tenten smiles and nods and said, meet me at my family shop at 5. Naruto nods and he tenses as he notices 4 Shushin and Neko said, Naruto Senju, you are to come with us back to the hospital. Naruto paled and Tenten snickered and said, busted. Naruto said, traitor, as Neko placed her hand on his shoulder and they left in a swirl of leaves. Badger said, where were you and Senju-sama? Tenten said, talking. Why? As she looked at the Anbu. Badger said, because we've been searching for him for several hours and couldn't find him. Tenten shrugged and said, it's getting late and I need to get home. Will there be anything else Anbu-san? Badger said, no, thank you for your assistance. Tenten nods and quickly heads home. In the hospital Naruto said, don't you think the chakra suppression seals and prisoner restraints are a bit much? The nurse said, we take people's healths very seriously here Senju-sama. Naruto said, you will excuse me but my BS meter is going off. I know for a fact you threw me out the second-story window when I was 6 during that blizzard when I was brought in here near frozen to death and told me the cold would do me good Nurse Sigil, in a sarcastic tone. The nurse looked down and said, I'm sorry about that Senju-sama. Naruto sighed and said, if you want my forgiveness then I will ask you the same question I will ask everyone else. What is so different about me from the person I was 6 months ago and the person I am now? The nurse said, nothing. Naruto said, then if it's not me that's changed then why do you care about my health now and not when I was younger? The nurse who looked sad said, because I realized the mistake I made Senju-sama and I want your forgiveness. Naruto looked outside and said, as a medic you took an oath to do no harm or some crazy shit like that right? The nurse winced and nods and Naruto said, I can never forget the past Nurse Sigil but I won't live in it either. You say you have changed and want my forgiveness. Well prove to me that you have changed. Show me that the oath you took as a medic is not some bullshit lie and that the only reason you care now is because you find out who my family is and how powerful and wealthy they are. If you do that then each day you show me that you have changed is another day I will forgive you. If your change is a lie then I hope you can look yourself in the mirror and can stand the sight of yourself because I'll ask that I never have to see you again if I ever come back here. In this world full of shinobi, deceivers are a dime a dozen, but people who's true to themselves and others are worth their weight in gold. Now if you don't mind, I'm a little tired. The nurse said, right, thank you Senju-sama and I will show you that I am truly sorry. Naruto nods and said, I've never been much for formality, just call me Naruto, as he gave her a small smile. The nurse smiled and said, right Naruto, get some rest, as she left. Naruto sighed and thought, what a day. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.